I'm Lucas, co-founder and CEO of Widgetbook. And today I'd love to talk with you about design systems. So you're going to learn how you can supercharge your design system by widget cataloging, testing, and also to simplify the collaboration with designers. But first of all, I'd love to start the presentation with a question. Who of you has already heard about Widgetbook? Okay, amazing, barely everyone. And who of you has already used Widgetbook? Nice. And who of you is using Widgetbook right now in production? Amazing. Do you want to give the presentation? No, of course. Just joking, I'm going to proceed. So all of you that don't know Widgetbook yet, we are open source, and we're building a Flutter tool from Flutter developers for Flutter developers. We are super community focused, so we already participate in and organize Flutter events for the past few years. And besides organizing Flutter events and participating in the community, of course, we're also building a tool. That's why I'm here today. And if you ask yourself the question, okay, like why should I bother listening to Lucas? Like why is he even talking about design systems? That's basically what we've been doing the past 2 years. So we have a web development background, used Storybook.js before a lot. And when we switched to Flutter, there was really no Storybook solution available, so we built it ourselves. And for the past few years, we've building Widgetbook together with very big Flutter companies, with small Flutter companies. And basically, we've seen a huge variety of different companies that we support, and I'd love to share those experiences with you today. And for example, we've been having a great collaboration with the Google team. So we've been featured at the Flutter Forward conference this January from Google. That's maybe why a lot of people from you know us. But without further ado, what are we going to do today? Today we're going to learn how you can build your own Flutter design system with Widgetbook, how you can quickly test your widgets in different use cases with our add-ons and knobs, and then also how you can simplify the collaboration with designers by being able to share your widgets with them, and then also simplify design reviews. And first of all, I'd love to take you on a journey. So how does app development usually work? Usually, it starts with the designer. So a client has an idea, and the designer's job is it now to first of all satisfy the client by bringing the ideas to life in a design. For the designer, it can be quite an annoying process, and at some point when the client is finally happy with the designer can create his or her design system. And the designer is usually using tools like Figma for it. Just a quick question for you. Who of you is using Figma in their processes? Who of you is not using Figma? Okay, at least a few. But the great thing is that tools like Figma really help the designer building their design system. It's fairly simple for designers. But now it's our job as a developer to do the same in code. And that can be quite challenging. What usually happens is that Flutter companies build something that they often refer to as gallery apps, meaning inside your app, available in debug mode, you can access the screen that basically captures all of the UI components that you have and that you want to reuse, plus the styles. And while that can definitely work, over time it gets quite hard to maintain with a growing number of developers on your team, and it's only very limited in use in comparison to the Flutter design system in Figma, because you don't have the opportunity to see your different Flutter widgets in different themes. You don't have the opportunity to see your different Flutter widgets in different text scale factors, or in different device sizes, or on different languages. All of that is possible in Figma, but not with your gallery app. And therefore, building your own Flutter design system is really quite difficult. And I'd love to show you today how you can really simplify that by using our free and open source Widgetbook for that. So let's jump straight in. The first thing that you would do is you would include our Widgetbook packages in your Flutter app in your pub/spec YAML file. And no worries, there are 3 packages, but they all work together super well. So as you can see, we are including not only our main Widgetbook package, but we're also including Widgetbook annotation and Widgetbook generator. So we built an annotation-based code generator that works very similar to Freest. And thereby you can use annotations, like for example, our Widgetbook app annotation, that you basically just include in your app root and your main.dart file when you're using a single package approach, or for a multi-package, for a monorepo approach, or a multi-package approach, however you want to name it, you are creating, first of all, a new package, a new Widgetbook app package. There you have a new main.dart file, and then there you're annotating your Widgetbook app. And once you did it, you let the build runner run, and what happens then is that the entire structure for the Widgetbook is being generated for you. So all the boilerplate code is being done by us. And what you can then do is, you can basically tell the Widgetbook with the Widgetbook use case annotations, okay, which widgets do I actually want to include in the Widgetbook? And in this case, we can see that the use case annotation comes with two parameters that you have to include, name and type. Name, in this case, we say, okay, the use case is with green color. The type is just the widget that we'd like to include, in this case, the container. And then we're defining a method, in this case, the green container use case. We're returning a column here that is wrapping our container, and then we have to mock the required parameter. In the case of the container, it's the color, so we're defining here that we want to see it in green. And once we do this, and we let the pub build runner run again, we are then able to run the Widgetbook and to show you all of the widgets that you know included. We recommend you to do it with a desktop build, because then you have the chance of having hot reload, so that you can also build your widgets quicker with Widgetbook and not only see them after development, but you can, of course, also run it on the web, for example. And then there it is. And what you can basically see here on the left side, that all of the widgets from our app were included, and you have really a nice overview of the widgets of your app. And if your app gets large, you have also a search bar available that lets you, that gives you the opportunity to precisely search which widget you'd like to test. And that's already it. So thereby, you can really quickly build your own Flutter design system with Widgetbook. But as I basically mentioned, to make it even better than your gallery app, we have the chance to allow you to quickly test your widgets in different use cases. And how that looks is basically as follows. So first of all, like, the problem is that apps usually nowadays get more and more complex. So your UX design is more and more important, and users have a lot more or a lot higher standards than they used to have before. And basically now we need to support our app with multiple themes, multiple devices, multiple languages. Who of you in this audience is developing the app at least on 2 different themes? Who is using at least 2 different devices that they tested on? Who is having more than 4? More than 8? Okay, yeah, there it usually stops. But already quite a few. And with languages, who is developing the app supporting for more than 1 language? Who got more than 3? More than 6? More than 10? Okay, yeah, here it stops. But as you see, like, quite a lot of use cases have to be supported. And we also have to test it as a developer. And to not turn into a skeleton and basically get very old until you finally test it, we can do it with Widgetbook. So Widgetbook can really become our superpower here of being able to very quickly test our widgets on the different use cases. And first of all, we can do it with add-ons. So basically just where you're annotating your run app command, you can include our add-ons, and the add-ons are very versatile. So first of all, we have the option of including theming in Widgetbook. And what you're currently seeing here is that you can include a custom theme in light and dark mode. But we also support material theme support, or also Cupertino. It really doesn't matter what kind of theme you're going for. It's easily supported with Widgetbook. And that's how it looks in the end. So we can see our tweet widget here being quickly tested on both light and dark mode. But we could also do it for text scale factors. So people like me, waking up in the morning, don't wear their glasses already, that we can still probably see if the widget looks great. We can easily check it also on different text scale factors. And the same then applies also for languages. So we can easily test our widgets on different localizations. In this case, we have the example with English and Arabic. I try to be basically as extreme as possible, because as you know, Arabic, the orientation should also change, and also that is supported in Widgetbook. So you can not only take a look into, okay, how does the language input change, but also how does the orientation change. Both of that is supported with Widgetbook. And you can then also test your widgets based on different device sizes for responsiveness. In our case, we now include support for iPhone 13 or iPad, but you can really add whatever device to Widgetbook. So pre-built in Widgetbook, we support every Apple device that's available on the market. We try to do it with Android as well, but as you can imagine, you can hire one engineer full-time for a year to include every Android device. Therefore, we give you the opportunity to also define your own custom devices, so you can go really crazy here if you like. But for iPhone 13 and iPad, that's basically how it looks. And you can also take a look in the orientation to change it from portrait mode to landscape mode, for example. And that's it regarding the add-ons, but there's even more. We also have knobs. So what we learned now with add-ons is that we can basically test our widgets against the global properties of the app. But what about widget-specific properties? That's exactly why we built knobs. So how knobs work is we have this use case example here, where we want to include a UI component in Widgetbook. And in this case, the UI component has one required parameter, called text. And we got to provide a string now. And while we could just include lorem ipsum directly in the text, we could also use a knob here. And the knob allows us to dynamically override the value in the Widgetbook UI. And how knobs work is you're just using the context, .knobs.datatype, in this case string, but not only string is supported, we basically support every data type that's available. And that's how it looks then in Widgetbook. So you give everyone that has access to Widgetbook the power to dynamically override the values in Widgetbook, and that works for text, to test overflows. That also works, in this case, for example, for the amount of replies or the amount of likes you get on your tweet, but that also, for example, works for the amount of images you'd like to include. And it is really powerful to test hard-to-reach use cases in your app, because what usually happened in the past is we had to ship the widget, we had to ship the app to someone, to the demo app, then check it on the mobile phone. We then had to navigate to that page to even build that tweet. Then we had to come up with a text, we had to come up with a few images, and then post it. Wait for it to be posted, and then we can review it. Takes a couple minutes. In Widgetbook, only takes seconds, and that is only in one configuration, meaning in one theme, on one device, in one language, on one text scale factor. And these are only 4 add-ons. You can even include more. So here again, it can get really crazy, it can become very chaotic, and what usually takes hours in testing, only takes a few seconds with Widgetbook. And that's basically it for the open source package. So the benefits that you get for free with the open source package are you can build your own design system with Widgetbook, and you can very quickly build it on and test it on all those different configurations. And if you'd like to get started with it, that's the link to our docs. And you can basically get started for free. Otherwise, you can also do the challenge at the booth. But that's not it for the talk. I also promised you that we can simplify the collaboration with designers. So let's wait for now, and let's focus on the design review as well. And what is super important for the design review is basically this situation happened to me so many times in the past. I built a UI, I was super proud of it, showed it to the designer, and the designer really just burned it up. Was like, no, I hate it. Who of you also experienced that in the past? Yeah, also basically everyone. And the problem here is really that it's quite difficult for designers and developers to collaborate, because first of all, we as developers have to enable the designer to do a precise review. So what usually happens is we have to define this demo app, to ship it to designers. Designers then have to navigate through the demo app. If they don't like something, they do a screenshot, then they add comments, and then they post you the screenshot with the comment together in Slack. And then it's like up to you to do something with it. Usually it's not very clear. We do another iteration, another iteration, another iteration. Yeah, and at some point it becomes just too frustrating. So the question is like, how can we really efficiently collaborate with designers? And that's why we built Widgetbook Cloud. And with Widgetbook Cloud, you will first of all have the chance to host your Widgetbook on all the different branches that you have in your repository and all the different builds. And then secondly, we also give you the chance to only preview those widgets that actually changed. Because while it is great to see the entire widget book with all of the components, you do not actually need to review all of those components all the time. What you need to review is what changed and what was newly added. And what is also frustrating for designers is they also have to go in the Figma file and have to check, okay, which is the design that we have to check those widgets against. And they have to find it, they have to open it somewhere, and with Widgetbook, we're basically just combining these two approaches. So we allow you to see on the left side, how does the widget look in Figma, whereas on the right side, how does the widget look in Flutter. You have then the possibility, in the bottom right corner here, to add a precise comment if you feel anything is off, and you can then, on the top right corner, either accept or reject this implementation. By accepting the implementation, amazing, the check that we're running automatically in your pull request turns green. So we're automatically checking if all of those widgets have been accepted or not. If they were rejected, bad news, but the good thing is at least we are prevented from merging here. So what will never happen again is that we ship UI to the client that was not properly implemented, and also at this point in time, we really focused just on the UI. We haven't included much logic yet. We haven't included much data binding yet. It's really just the core UI, so we can like very quickly iterate at that point with the designer, and then once it's approved, then we can start building a more complex widget, and therefore it also doesn't get so frustrating if we have to change something. So that's how Widgetbook Cloud can really help you to keep your design and code in sync by sharing widgets with designers and simplifying your design reviews. And it's one of the last talks today, so we're already getting in party mode for later. But in the end, it really helps you collaborating with your designer and yeah, making both of you happy and really enjoying working together. So if you would like to try Widgetbook yourself, we have a Widgetbook challenge at our booth that you're very welcome to join. But you can also just request either early access to Widgetbook Cloud or get started with the open source package. Everything is provided on the website. I'm Lucas, co-founder and CEO of Widgetbook, and we really want to help you bridge the gap between design and development. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you so much. We actually have some time for questions, if there's any. So I'll repeat the question first. Could you integrate the Widgetbook Cloud with Jira?
So what I think you're meaning is that if the acceptance stuff. Yeah. So it is not, let's say, natively supported, but what works is, and how other companies are already using Widgetbook is, for example, if you're using GitHub as a Git provider, once you accept something on Widgetbook Cloud, it's going to be checked in GitHub, and there's a GitHub integration with Jira, and that's how you can like leverage that integration, and therefore I would boldly say, yes, there's a Jira integration.
Yes, so one more question.
Can you self-host the Widgetbook Cloud?
The question was, could you self-host the Widgetbook Cloud?
Yes, so what you are definitely allowed to do is you can just self-host your open source package, and then you have it hosted in your own environment. But what is then not supported is you don't have that review feature where it's like analyzed which widgets changed. You don't have the Figma integration. So that's something you don't have when you self-host it. The question could also refer to, can you basically self-host everything that is available on Widgetbook Cloud on your service? And unfortunately, that's not possible yet. So far, we decided to really build the features and improve the product and build a great product as quick as possible. And therefore, we haven't yet worked on a self-hosting solution. So currently, it's just a usual SaaS solution. But we're definitely looking into it in the future. And we can definitely, if the case is big enough, also talk about a custom solution there.
Anyone else? Or should I take a question? Because I have a quick one.
Yeah, sure.
So the build runner,
yes.
If you have a mono repo, does it work with like creating one widget book, or is there going to be multiple?
No, it's one widget book.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, OK. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucas. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you.